Yeah, hey, this is MrLboyd. I'm a commercial portrait photographer from New York, currently based in Andalusia, Spain. Today we're going to go ahead and, I guess, show you exactly how I edit the image and then slightly retouch the image for the purpose of, let's say, Instagram or any type of social media. But if I was to print, obviously this would be a lot longer. Anyway, so what we're going to do here is first lens correction immediately, so there's no crazy lines or curves. Anyhow, so now we're gonna go into curve. Actually, I always use contrast. There's something about contrast that makes the photo feel juicy. If that means anything to you. Let's see. Let's go up a little bit on the contrast. She has very fair skin, so let's bring down a little. Shadows up. Whites. Hold down Alt as you're adjusting your white so you can see exactly what is being blown out. Alright, let's see. That's fine. And the same thing with blacks. Like the marks here are true black, basically. Anyhow, so bring up some clarity. I generally, personally, I don't really like really warm images. They're not really appealing to me. So I try to stay away from that at all times. Let's see. Photoshop thinks this is a good idea. I do not. Let's see. Let's go down a little. Up a little. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and adjust. Oh, here's something here. If you ever run into an issue where there's like over reddening of the skin, the easiest way to correct that is through HSL adjustments. Hue saturation, specifically hue. Bring the red slider up a little bit and it literally will remove the majority of red in the skin. If that's ever an issue for you, it's a quick fix. Anyhow, so I may do some split toning on this image because I kinda, let's see, in the shadow specifically, maybe red. Let's try that. See what that feels like. That just brings red into the shadow, but it also warms up the image a little bit, so that's not something that I'm gonna want to do. I generally do like blues or purples or something. I generally like the way that feels, but purple is really far from red on the what's it called? Complementary table of colors. So that doesn't generally fit in. But this actually feels pretty good, but we're not going to do it. Never mind. All right, so if you ever have if you have another image that's similar to this here, but let's say you want to edit, let's say 4 photos from this particular set, the easiest way to do that is to go here, right, to presets, and then create a preset, and then just hit enter, and you can continuously go back, and I'm not going to do it, I already did it here. But that's the best way to batch edit your files for fact. I personally don't really use Lightroom. I know the ease, I can see the ease of it, but I generally don't deliver a crazy amount of photos to a client, so that's not something that interests me like that. And I always retouch my own images, so there's no real reason to bounce between programs. The dehaze feature, I guess you can use it a little, but I personally try not to do too much on portraits itself. I leave all the color alone, generally. Okay, open the image. All right. The first thing I do when I get into Photoshop, I immediately zoom in to verify that the image is actually clean at 100%. Okay. Now from here, there are actually 2 ways you can do it, purely depending on where the end product is going. Like, for example, this is for Instagram, so I'm just going to do it in a very quick manner, but it's still going to be clean, obviously. If I was to do it the long way, I would do frequency separation immediately, and then just remove the blemishes that way. But I've learned, at least for Instagram purposes, it's really not valuable to do that. So we're just going to do, let's go into about here. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spot heal, or not spot heal. Is it called spot heal? I think it is. Whatever this icon is, yeah, just use it. I'm going to go create a new layer so I don't destroy the original background image. And now I am going to just use the bracket keys to go up and down in the size and just remove the blemishes that are the largest and that stick out from, let's say 15%. All right. I'm also using a Wacom tablet, so it's a little easier, I guess. Just, this is going to be really quick-ish, let's say. I'm also not going to fast forward or make the video faster so you can actually see what's happening in real time. She had a piercing here, so, but it's not in the image, so that's not going to stay, obviously. It's not natural. Okay. The next video that I'm going to work on is going to be based off of retouching dark skin. It's a little different, but it's the same overall process. And extra hairs go. Basically, what you're looking for to remove is remove things that are not there all the time on someone. Like obviously, if it's like a beauty mark or a birthmark or a mole of sorts, leave that. That is what makes the person who they are. So never do that. Also, as like a habit, I refuse to like alter body shape of someone. I've been asked a lot, honestly, to be like, hey, can you make me look skinnier or like make my arms skinnier? No, I can't do that. Photography, or as a photographer, you should have respect for the body. You know what I mean? Not everyone is the same. You don't want to make people uniform. I mean, I don't see the beauty in that. There's no art in that. Everyone is artful how they are. All right. So far it's looking good. Oh, also, like little girls look at your images. You know what I mean? Specifically if you're shooting for publication, like, yeah, try not to do that. You know what I mean? Don't edit someone's body to the point where it's unnatural to obtain these features and have women looking and feeling terrible about themselves because they cannot attain something that wasn't real in the first place, you know? All right. And I think her skin looks good now. Oh, she had another piercing here. This is basically just rough. Like I said, if this was for publication or some form of printing purposes, it would not be done like this. This is like brute force in a sense. I'm also using spacebar to move around. It's easier than just, oh, that was hers. Sorry. And yeah, zoom out. Now her skin is even. There's some slight discoloration here from the obvious spot healing. All right, now I'm going to press Control-Shift-E. It's going to merge everything down. Now I'm going to actually get into the quick frequency separation. I actually use a program for the skin specifically, where basically what I'm doing is I'm splitting the layers. All of her texture is based on one layer. Now this is all just skin in a sense. And then her textures are here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hide the texture layer, click the skin layer, filter. I specifically, like I said, I use a program. There is a way to do it faster, or well, for publication. I guess I could make a video on that at another date. It takes a lot longer. I use Imagenomics portraiture just on the layer of the skin. Some people use it on the entire image, but I mean, it's just, it doesn't give you that look, of professionalism, I'd say. All right. We've let the load. All right, now what I'm doing specifically, let me zoom back out, I'm sorry. I'm going to use the eyedropper tool specifically to pick colors on her skin that will basically only select her face. Generally between the eyebrows here, below the nose, and that should have a good mask of her skin overall. It'll pick the lighter bits also. So, okay. Now what this is going to do is it's going to create a brand new layer above the skin here. And you'll see in a second. It's very intensive on the computer, by the way, so load. Okay. Now that like literally smooths her skin, evened her skin. There's no blotchiness. Now remember what I did earlier where there was slight blotchiness here with spot healing, and now that's all gone. It just evens out her skin perfectly. Now let's add the skin texture back, and now she has her skin texture back. Like the quickest way to get this done. And now she looks flawless. Issue here. Okay. All right. Next step is to add another layer. Press Shift Backspace. We're going to do a 50% gray layer. Go to this here and go to Overlay. All right. Now what we're doing is we're actually, yeah. Okay, now we're going to do some light dodging and burning, like super light. All right. And your burn tool, bracket for the size of the brush. And what I'm doing is I'm going around the dark areas of the images. Well, specifically areas where I want there to be more shadow, let's say. But not going crazy. As I said, this is for Instagram. You can literally spend 10 hours burning an image. Okay, now we're going to go to her hair specifically. Well, we're going to dodge her hair, not burn her hair. The dark areas are dark enough. We did that earlier. All right. See, really light, but noticeable slightly. Try not to go crazy with this because it will look crazy. What I do sometimes is actually go harder at it than I normally would by doing this, like super hard burn. And then what you do is you go to the opacity and actually bring down what you don't want, and you can actually get it at a better level. All right, anyway, so now click here, dodge. Now for the dodging purposes, as I said, for Instagram, so go here, bridge of her nose, the light areas in the lip, to accentuate the light. Okay. Right above her cheekbone, your makeup artist should have highlighted this area here, which is really good. So you can later on go in and slightly highlight this more, a little. And I also, here, you come here and you dodge this area of the eye only. Okay, and dodge the eye slightly. She has some shiny bits here. Basically, whatever you're making brighter is going to show more on the image. Keep that in mind. Well, I guess it's obvious, right? Now this section here, we're gonna go and do the hair. Okay. And I'm burning, dodging all of the light areas in her hair. Okay. All right. This is before. This is after. After. Oh, you can come here also and burn this area, like underneath her cheekbone. But be careful with that, because that can look ridiculous quickly. Okay. All right. Okay. Also, see this long light? You can see the highlight here. I would say burn that or dodge that also, but not heavy, obviously. Okay. I like the way this feels. Now I'm going to merge it all down. Okay. I do have an action set up for the purpose of like properly sharpening the image. There are other ways you can do it. I would suggest downloading a program from the Nick collection. This is all free. Okay. You can do this and go to raw pre-sharpening. I'll show you this process. Okay. We're going to set the point here. All right. This is probably the easiest way to do it. You can actually set up control points, so you can delete. Say you do not want any sharpening on this whole area that looks like this part. Meaning that unfortunately her hair is black also, so you're going to run into an issue where you're removing all the sharpness from her hair, which you do not want specifically, but you can do this here. Let's say image quality is normal. It's not a high ISO image because this was shot in studio, obviously. And then you can just sharpen the image from the adaptive sharpening. But I negatived this, so let's negative sharpen her skin instead. Yeah, there we go. And so now her skin is not being sharpened, but everything else in the image is being sharpened. Okay? It's an amazing program. That way you don't really have to go back in and mask anything. Here, it's going to sharpen now for you. And like I said, this is a free program you can download, and it's great. It sharpens properly. Now the image is obviously sharp up until this is actually too sharp. So let's bring this down slightly, or we can mask it. Yeah, we can mask. All right. The best way to do this here, once you actually get into the sharpened, once I give you the sharpened image, you're gonna hit Alt and then this button here, the mask, layer mask. All right. Now you're gonna paint white. Anything you want sharp. You can also base. Let's go to white. All right. Paint. And the opacity, you can bring it to like 50%. Okay. And anything you want will be white. And if you want it more sharp, just doubly paint over it. Since your opacity is at 50 or lower, basically, you can slowly add sharpening, or certain parts of the image can be sharper than others just by painting over it. Okay. This is one way you can do the sharpening of your images professionally, evenly, and all. All right, and just continue basically doing this. Remember, white shows, black hides. So when you're ready to actually, or if you made a mistake, you can go to black, paint, and paint over the black spots. But I'm not going to use this for this image. All right, what I'm going to do is I have an action set up for how I personally do it. All right. Which I'll show in a later video. Okay, I'm going to bring the opacity down on my layer that was created, and I like the way this feels. All right, so this is basically like the entire process of how I get a photo ready for the purpose of social media, or just anything online. This is just how I just deliver images online. It's quick, it's simple. I don't lose any general quality. I enhance, but do not alter the image, because basically, you know, when you're shooting, you technically want your image to look how you want it to look in camera, you know, minus the blemishes, etc. So make sure you're shooting properly in the first place. Okay. But anyway, if you have any questions, just leave a comment. I'll try to respond to whoever, I guess, has any questions. You know, follow me on Instagram at MrLboyd, and I will have the model's information in the description of the video. Have a great day.